Hi, this is Dan Smith and welcome to today's video episode of Business is More Exciting Than Any Game. Today I want to talk about some of the key issues that you need to think about and plan for if you are looking into having a online e-commerce type of business. Now, as we all know, and during the last couple of months, a lot of brick and mortar businesses have had some difficulties operating on a daily basis just because of COVID-19. And this kind of issue is probably going to be with us for a while as people begin to get more comfortable not only opening their businesses to the public, but the public getting more comfortable coming back to regular traditional brick and mortar businesses. And so you've seen a great increase in online businesses getting a bigger share of the American economy in the past, not only the past couple of months with COVID-19, but really over the past year or two or three. Online e-commerce type businesses seem to be one of the big developments and big waves in entrepreneurship in not only the United States but in the world. And so if you are one of those people who are thinking about starting a new business and you're looking into various types of businesses that you might want to consider opening, it may be that one of the types of businesses in a broad sense that you're looking at may be an online or e-commerce type business, and that's great. But there are a number of issues that you have to take into account and keep in mind when you're getting ready to start an online business, because even though online businesses have a lot of the same issues as traditional brick and mortar businesses, they also have, in addition to those, a number of other issues that need to be looked at before the business is set up and gets operational. So today I want to talk about some of those issues and legal concerns that if you're looking into an online or e-commerce business you might want to take a look at before you get started. Now, I've made a list, so I may be looking at my list from time to time. I just don't want to forget anything. So really I want to talk first about generally the federal agency that oversees or is in charge of legal compliance for a number of issues that arise through the use of the internet and through businesses' use of the internet. And that agency is the FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Trade Commission is essentially tasked with making sure that businesses operate fairly and competitively in the marketplace. And so with respect to online businesses, there are a number of rules and statutes that the FTC is involved with that you need to know about if you're going to run an online business. The first thing is a general rule: any claim that you make with respect to your business, and this applies not only to online businesses but to traditional businesses as well. If you make a claim in your advertising or your marketing materials, you need to make sure that it's truthful, that it's not deceptive or unfair, and that if you make a claim that there's evidence to back up that claim. It's an evidence-based claim. You may have heard, if you watch the television show Shark Tank, and if you're interested in entrepreneurship, you probably do, you hear some of the sharks talk about, when they talk to some of the businesses that come into the Shark Tank, whether they have done a study or done a test, or do they have some evidence to back up the claims that they want to make, particularly if the company that's coming into the Shark Tank is one that makes some type of health claim or weight loss claim or something along those lines. So in general, if you run a business and you make a claim in your marketing, it needs to be truthful, not deceptive or unfair, and it has to be evidence-based. Now, if you're making your claims in an online context, you're going to have a written claim out there on the internet, and you need to make sure that what you say you can back up and it's truthful. That's just a general rule with the FTC and with marketing in general. Now, if you market to children, and when I say children, I'm talking about children under the age of 13. If your website sells goods or services that are essentially marketed to a younger demographic, whether that's something like games or puzzles or something, toys, something that would be appealing and the ultimate market would be children under the age of 13, or you have some type of interactive website that you have children interacting online with you through your website through some type of interactive game or something along those lines. And if your demographic or your marketing for your product or service, your company, is for children under the age of 13, then you have to take into account and comply with a federal statute called COPPA, C-O-P-P-A. That's an acronym for Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. And if you are familiar with YouTube and the YouTube channels, you know that if you were to want to put up a YouTube channel or upload a video to your YouTube channel, one of the things you have to answer with respect to your video that you upload to YouTube is whether or not the content is directed at children under the age of 13. The reason for that is YouTube wants to be in compliance with COPPA, and so they're asking you that question. If you're going to be setting up a product or a service and having an online business in which your marketing is going to be directed towards children under the age of 13, you need to make sure you comply with COPPA. Now, what it essentially does is, if you, and these are all in broad general detail, obviously this is just a summary, but essentially what COPPA does is, if you are getting email addresses or personal information from children under the age of 13, you have to have the consent of their parents before you get that information. So you can't just have a child check a box, give their home address, give their email address without having first, if they say they're under the age of 13, making sure that you get parental consent before you get that email address or that other personal information. There's more to it than that, but that's the general gist of COPPA. Another thing is, if you operate an online business and you use endorsers or influencers to market your products, you need to disclose that. So, for example, you see on television sometimes so-and-so is a paid endorser of a product, and it says that. That's because you need, under the FTC guidance, under the FTC rules, if you have paid endorsers, paid influencers marketing your products, you have to disclose that to the public. And the same thing with an affiliate who markets or advertises your products or services on their own website. They need to disclose that they have an affiliate relationship with your company. Now, another thing is that you may be seeking to get reviews from your customers online, and if you do, you need to make sure that if you're getting reviews, that you comply with the Consumer Review Fairness Act, the CRFA, which there's a lot to it, but essentially it would prohibit you, for example, from only allowing your reviewers to give you a 5-star review, or requiring that in a contract that someone agrees not to put up a review of you. Something like that. You cannot limit your reviews, either limit them or restrict them completely, or limit them or restrict them to only giving you, top-level reviews. So you want to make sure that if you are getting reviews, you don't put some kind of impediment in the way of people giving fair and honest reviews. So that's the Consumer Review Fairness Act. If you're marketing certain types of products, like products that have some kind of environmental connection, a green product, or it's a health product, either a dietary supplement or an over-the-counter drug or contact lenses, any other health-related products. If you have those, you want to make sure that you look specifically at the rules for that the FTC puts out, because there's some specific rules on that, particularly with respect to health products. You don't want to make, again, claims that you cannot back up that are not based on evidence. If you want to market a product and claim that it's made in the USA, you need to check the FTC rule and the guidance on that, because there's some specific rules about making claims about made in the USA under certain circumstances. If you are wanting to do email marketing and you just send out broad bulk emails to a list that you have, you need to be careful, because there's something called the Can-Spam Act that essentially puts a lot of restrictions on email marketing for a commercial purpose unless you have the consent of people to whom you're sending the email to receive those emails. And without going into all the rules, essentially you have to make sure that it's clear that it's an advertisement, it's clear that someone can unsubscribe and what they have to do to unsubscribe from your email list, and it needs to be fairly easy, like just click this button to unsubscribe, and you need to abide by the wishes of people who want to unsubscribe and immediately take them off your email list. But you need to be careful, if you're doing email marketing, to look at the Can-Spam Act and make sure that you provide all the notices in your email that are required, and you do all the things that are required to make sure that people can unsubscribe, and you need to also obviously abide by their wishes if they choose to unsubscribe. But if you're doing email marketing, take a look at Can-Spam. It's something you need to know about. Finally, you need to, if you're taking payments on your e-commerce or online business site, you need to make sure that you have authorization from your customers to debit or credit, I guess, their credit cards or the debit cards. In other words, you've gotten authorization to get paid with the charges on their cards. Before you do that, you need to be very clear about what costs are, shipping costs, all of those things in advance before you just charge someone and not just add something on without their approval. You need to have a privacy policy on your website. You need to keep personal information of your customers private, not sell the information, not let it be disclosed inappropriately. And you need to have a terms and conditions or terms of use policy or list on your website to let your customers know what essentially the contract is, what the agreement is between you as the company and them as the customer with respect to the business. You need to have clear terms of use, clear privacy policy, and abide by all the other things I just talked about: Can-Spam, COPPA, CRFA, all those things. So there are a lot of moving parts to an online or e-commerce business, but in today's world, an e-commerce or online business may very well be the way to go, because that seems to be the wave of the future. If you have any questions about an online business or setting up an e-commerce business, let me know. I'll be glad to talk to you about it. Dan Smith at DPS Legal Counsel, and I hope today's video was helpful for you. We'll see you next time.